Unscripted.
Unshackled.
Uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for mature audiences only.
It's Miguel Fuller.
Holly O'Connor.
And Scotty the Body.
It's the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast.
Only on Hot 101.5.
Hello, we are back after having Indigenous Peoples Day off on Monday. And I've been looking through the Miguel and Holly fam / Platypus Posse group. We are up to 308 members.
Wow, that's growing quick.
That's a lot of people.
Really cool.
I don't know how many people I assume listen to this podcast, but I
I
always
thought 4.
figure it's about 15 to 20.
Yeah. I mean,
so
there used to be this old radio joke that we learned from mentors back in the day, like in the early 2000s, 90s, that whenever a new morning show would start, they would always say, we've only got 7 listeners.
you're one of the 7.
Right. And then, the show would become huge, but they would still just refer to their listeners as 7.
Yeah.
And that was always the inside joke. We never did that because of social media. But then I felt like with the podcast, it was actually just 7 people.
Yes.
I
And
was like, no, this is
maybe
legit.
I get why they would have said that to morning shows, and I get the self-deprecation that comes from that.
Right.
But I feel also like it's so embedded in my brain that I never feel like that many people listen. And I know that's not correct.
Right.
Because I do know that, Miguel, people, so many people come up to you in public. I do know that.
Mhm.
So it's like the realities don't line up. But
Right.
in my mind, I can't ever think about the fact that lots of people might listen.
Right. Right.
It doesn't exist. Especially to the podcast. I feel like we're doing this for us.
Mhm.
Literally, the 3 of us in this room, that's who we do the podcast for. And approximately 15 to 20 people who I'm like, I will always do it for them. I mean, it's not like it's better or worse to have more or less people, but
Right.
I feel like I can know you personally. And that's how it is.
Well, you got to search out the podcast. That's what's really cool. It's like that many people are searching it out and taking their own time. The radio fam's awesome because obviously when you're waking up, I'm going to tune in. But a lot of people maybe passively listen. It's just on. They don't even know it's on. It's just on the radio. But for the podcast, it's like I'm going to go to Apple Podcasts and type in Miguel and Holly Uncensored, and I'm going to dedicate this next 30 minutes to an hour to just listen
to that.
Right.
That's cool.
Right.
That's really special.
I know. The other day, I even said I don't even listen to podcasts. So the fact that you do, it's amazing.
Yeah. Very special.
We do have someone coming on in a little bit to talk about something really cool that's happening in Tampa Bay.
Like a fundraiser, charity type of thing.
But I did want to give some shout outs from the group. Like Dose. Ooh, geez. She lives in Denver, but she listens.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going to try to pronounce your name because I would just be disrespectful. And I wanted to get to some more questions that remember I had asked, we talked about last week, where I said, hey, do you have any Q&A questions?
I love a good Q&A.
But what's really cool is I'm having to scroll down far in the group because y'all have been so active and posting about stuff.
Yeah.
In the group on Facebook. And even there was someone had posted about maybe getting some fam members together to do this charity run together as a Miguel and Holly team.
Dang.
Whoa.
Which I thought was really freaking awesome.
Wow.
That's what makes it super cool is when there's a whole other community that forms.
Yeah.
Right.
That is on you.
Right.
I love that.
It's so cool to just hop in every now and then and just to scroll through and see. And then everyone's just being so nice to each other too, that it's not something really crazy.
Thank God.
All right. Let's see here.
And hello to Francisco, who's on YouTube right now. By the way, he's a trooper.
All right, Sarah. Let's see. I'm sorry. Most recent. Here we go. Steph says, "What has been your favorite Halloween costume you've worn in the past?" Love you guys.
That's a good one. My last one I loved. I wore a Halloween costume a week ago for a Halloween party, and I dressed up as Helga Hufflepuff, where I wore a Hogwarts dress and a wig, and I had my wand. It was very uncomfortable, but that was usually I don't really dress up for Halloween. I really don't. And this year, my girlfriend, she loves dressing up for Halloween. That's her thing. Loves
Is there a
theme
reason
parties.
why you don't?
I don't know. It's just kind of I guess costumes in general, you wear it once and then it just sits there and it goes away. And it's okay, why do I spend all this money on it? Or, I'm trying to think of other Halloween parties I've gone to. And it's every other Halloween party's just been, have drinks, have a good time. I didn't need much. I think when I was in college, I would always do something that was easy, go to the store and get a dinosaur hat. wear no shirt and wear dinosaur shorts, and it would be funny. It was pretty
True.
simple. Like, I never went all out and got like a costume. The last year, I went out in a donut costume. That was my costume. Like, where you just throw it over your arms and
Yeah.
everything, and it's like you're a donut. I like to do things that are funny that kind of get your attention, but I don't like to put a lot of work into the costumes.
I don't know why the other day. I just feel like recently, my patience have just been thin with everybody and everything.
Oh boy.
And I had a friend recently, maybe a week or two ago, in a group chat I'm in. We were talking about like what we would possibly be doing for Halloween. And one of them was like, well, I don't dress up for Halloween. Like, I'm just, ugh. And I don't know why.
Oh no. When Miguel gets over something, especially
God.
with one of his friends where he feels like he can be honest,
Such a.
it will light you on fire.
Oh,
Well, I was just like, the world is fucking burning. Like people can't get along. Like, everyone hates each other. Like, why not take a little time where you're actually enjoying, even if you don't like shopping for a Halloween costume, because it can be a little stressful. But like, even if you just like go get a dinosaur hat and you just do something that's like fun, that takes your mind off of everything.
yeah.
Why wouldn't you spend a little time on that? Like, do you think you're too good?
No, okay,
to
so
dress
that's the
up?
thing. Like, I would
And I'm
never
not
go.
saying you. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
okay.
and my friend. I was just like,
Well, to clarify for me, like, I would never go to an event dressed as nothing. Like,
Right.
that is not me. Like, if you're gonna have a theme and there's gonna be something I could go as, and I have to think, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm gonna go as. I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna show out. Like, when we did a zoo animals like walk around bar crawl, like, I got a whole inflatable hippo
Yeah, I was
costume.
gonna say you're not averse
Like,
to
I'm gonna get all the attention if there's gonna be any attention given. I'm an attention whore. Like, I'll do whatever it takes.
really?
Oh
You?
no,
What?
no.
I would have never guessed.
Look at who's talking. Okay.
Oh no,
All
we
right.
see.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Everyone has seen.
Yes. So if there's an opportunity, yes, I will strut my ish. But if there's nothing happened, I'm not going to do anything.
Holly, what's been one of your favorite Halloween costumes you've worn in the past?
I can't really pick one particular favorite, and I got on a kick where I just really like powerful women. So my favorites have been when I was Wonder Woman,
That's a good one.
when I was Daenerys Targaryen,
Mm.
Whoa.
even when I was Ursula to my daughter's Uma
That
That
was
probably
like
looks
really
sick.
cool seeing it. I never saw it in person,
Yeah.
but just on pictures, it looked really cool.
It was fun. And I mean, I didn't do a great, like, you see the people on TikTok that transform themselves. Like, I'm not
Right.
good at makeup and I'm not good at like wigs, but I just got like a silvery gray wig and I just put purple on. I bought like a kit from, Party City. And I just like that. I like powerful women figures. And it doesn't necessarily have to be good because like Wonder Woman, that was cool. I did that. Ursula, not a hero, more of a villain,
That was
but
really
still
cool, though.
a
It looked cool.
powerful character. So I just really like those. I can't say I have a favorite. Maybe if I had to pick, it would have been Daenerys Targaryen. I was 2 different iterations of Daenerys Targaryen over the years.
That's right. I
Um,
remember that.
Like, I loved her. Ooh, that was my favorite.
I really
That was
liked
my favorite. Yeah.
being a Power Ranger a few years ago. I think it was the last time we did the
Yes.
Hot Haunted Manor.
Yep.
Mm.
Why do you have that look, Scott?
Because that was just a good costume. Like, it was good. It was tight.
Oh, like it was.
It was
It was
tight
very
fitting.
tight.
It was tight.
Or
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
Miguel.
tight.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
Let's
it
just go
was
with
like-
both. It was tight. It
You
was-
could see my dick print.
Wow.
We're on the podcast, I guess, but geez Louise.
Yeah, well,
Oh, God.
feeling very aggressive today.
Yeah, yeah, you are. Holy, you need a massage.
Something.
You need some tea.
Need some CBD. Need some CBD oil, CBD pills,
Ew.
CBD something.
No, but that was one of my favorite is doing because I love the Power Rangers and I had forgotten that growing up I was so obsessed with the Power Rangers and I always wanted to be one, but my mom was like, we didn't do name brand costumes like that.
Yeah.
It was always like, I got a clown wig from the
Well,
dollar store.
Yeah.
Also, it was different when we were kids.
Right.
They
right.
didn't really do a lot of costumes until like it got almost till later on. Like we had to make up our own shit. Like if you didn't have someone in your family that sewed, sorry.
Well, they hold
Well,
on.
I'm actually a little older than you, so
I'm about to
maybe not.
say, at least when I was in elementary school, they had the masks. They
Oh,
had, like,
yeah. That's
'cause-
what we always did.
Right, because I remember at school, some of the kids, this was probably 3rd or 4th grade, probably 3rd grade, they had the Power Rangers mask, and I just remember being like, that's my fucking mask. Like, you don't have to, like, get me the whole, I mean, because I don't think they made them then,
Yeah.
but I was like, at least just the mask, but then I was always just a clown or bum. My mom loved the bum costume. She would take her makeup and just, like, put it all over me, and I'm like, it's kind of offensive now, is it?
Actually, in the list of things what not to be for Halloween, you cannot be a homeless person.
Yeah.
And that would be
yeah.
like
a homeless person.
Yeah.
But that would be the stereotypical bum from back in the day,
right.
because you can't do that now.
Actually, literally, as I was saying, I'm like,
That's offensive.
that's kind of offensive.
We
'cause you're
all,
making
I'm
fun.
sorry, but like this is where like not cancel culture. What am I looking to say? But what do we
Political
say?
correctness.
Whatever it is,
Mhm.
like you do have to take into account the time that it was and the fact that we were kids, because everybody from like my age or your age and older, we were all something horrifically offensive,
Right.
and people didn't think there was anything wrong with it at that time.
Right. I mean, it's true.
Now, like I wouldn't do that to my kid, because we
Right.
know when you know better, you do,
do better, yeah.
Right.
Like,
Because as soon as like I had not thought about that in ever.
Yeah.
And as I'm like, oh, I was I'm like, ooh.
you're like, oh, I
That
can't.
just saying that out loud just sounds gross. Like,
But
we didn't know back then.
that's what people did. Like
Right.
people, I'm fairly certain that nobody malicious was like, I hate bums.
Right.
I
right.
hate the homeless, and I can't wait to make fun of them.
Right.
Because our brains didn't work in a manner that was like, oh, someone actually might get their feelings hurt by this.
Mhm.
It was just like,
That was
this
what
is-
it was.
This is a time for me to try on something that is different. And
Right.
and it was a different, so much of it may have been malicious, but so much of it was not. It was just ignorance of,
Consider empathy.
yeah.
It was empathy and understanding that. And it's sort of the conversation I had on I was on A Cat Named Mo on our sister station The Bones show last night,
Mhm.
talking about the genesis of the conversation was Dave Chappelle's special.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
hadn't heard about that, but then we got into sort of like political correctness and things like that. And one of the things that I talked about is that because he posted, oh, Miguel's going to be on to talk about Dave Chappelle.
Mm.
And I kept going back throughout the day to see the comments.
Oh,
And I knew it was going to happen, but I wanted to see how crazy it would go. And then people would be like, oh, damn liberals, snowflakes. And that's one of the things I brought up last night, is that it's not about people being too sensitive. It's about having consideration for other people's feelings and understanding that, what if I dressed up as a bum this year, went to a party, and someone's brother is living on the street with drug addiction?
Yeah.
Like, granted, you can't always protect everyone if someone's feeling triggered, but why not take a little extra care with someone instead of going as something offensive, going as a Power Ranger or going as Ursula or something?
yeah.
that
There's other
isn't-
options that you could choose. It was
Right.
just like today when we talked about dressing up in a hazmat suit this year and making fun of the pandemic, where it's like there's a good chance you're gonna walk somewhere and someone lost somebody from COVID.
Right.
Like there's a high chance of that. And so to do that, you're going out of your way, knowing that it could offend somebody else and knowing it could hurt somebody else and bring back that thought when they're just trying to have a good time.
Right.
Right.
So it's like you could avoid that.
And some people do take it too far, but the main point of the whole thing is just to be aware and to try to, consider others' feelings.
Right. And you can't always not walk on eggshells and knowing what's going to trigger someone else.
Right. That's why people also have to take responsibility for their own
Yes.
emotions
Right.
and triggers, because that's the healing process. If you're expecting everybody else to watch out for you, that's not taking responsibility of you.
Right. But why not take the extra step just to be like, is
Yeah.
this insensitive and going to be triggering to someone?
Right.
And hey, if that was your intention not to, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Let's get our guests on the phone before we pick up with the questions.
Mm.
And we've had her on the podcast before. Do you want to set up, Holly, who she is?
Just Sharon. So Sharon used to work here at our family of radio stations. Was on the promo team, actually did on-air work on our sister station 97X. So that's how we came to know her, but she's a massive YouTube star.
Mhm.
Like, was a YouTube star before she was ever doing the radio stuff.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Sharon.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. I'm just setting up your story and who you are. So
Cool.
Sharon has this huge following on YouTube, like is legit a YouTuber.
Star.
Yes. And so we had her on to talk about, there was an episode passed, and you can probably look it up wherever you listen to our podcast on. But we sort of went through her history and how she got to where she was as a YouTuber. And so today we're talking to her again because of what is it, Sharon? Is it like a fundraiser? Is it a charity issue? How would you describe this, what you're doing?
So I would call it simply just a donation drive. We're collecting period products. So anything anyone could ever need for their period, whether it's like tampons, panty liners, even like heating pads we've been collecting.
Oh, which is good.
So yeah, we're just collecting those products and we're going to donate to a local organization. They're called I Support the Girls in Tampa Bay. And they go ahead and they take them and they give it to whoever needs it, whether it's domestic violence and domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, group homes, schools, and so many more. So we're kind of donating to the one who knows where to donate to, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. It's a good thing to do.
Absolutely. And you're teaming up with somebody for this, yes?
Yes, I am teaming up with State Representative Susan Valdez for District 62.
Oh.
That's big. So
Look
it's
at
not just
you.
like a little one-off local thing. Like you went like, oh, hey, let's take this to the next level.
I'm not gonna lie, I do have the advantage. She is my great aunt, so we are related.
That's awesome.
Hey, use the connections to your benefit. There you go.
Always use those connections. Okay.
For sure. She does a back to school drive, which is always really fun. She just basically collects all these supplies and she creates backpacks to give to kids right before back to school season. And she's done that for years. And I've helped out and I'm like, I would love to do this, but connect with like my audience and what I do. So I was like, period supplies. Cause like, I didn't know period poverty, it's a thing. Cause you know, you always hear of like homeless people and like impoverishment and just like, you know, you can't afford these things. But the first things that come to mind are like food and like clothes and a home, you know?
Yeah.
But then it's like, what about the people who have their periods? They can't get these supplies. So I was like, this is perfect.
Exactly.
Wow.
And so many people
But, you know.
don't want to talk about it. And that's one of the things
Exactly.
that you do with your YouTube channel, which is because your audience is oftentimes teenage girls. And so giving them an outlet to talk about their period, which has been forever in the history of time, like a taboo topic in polite society, although it doesn't need to be because half of us have this, which is the craziest thing. And so a lot of times young girls, maybe they're whoever the adult woman in their life either doesn't do a thorough job of talking about it, or you're only getting that one funneled view of information instead of having like one common thing to share your experiences with. So Sharon is sort of the linchpin with this, and she talks about it a lot, which is why I think that this was a perfect donation situation for you to jump on board with, because not only is it for your audience, but it also speaks to the wider picture in exactly what you're talking about. Let me just tell you a quick story. When I think it was about 2 years ago, my daughter decided that she wanted to put together bags for homeless people. You know, you're driving down like Dale Mabry or something, and you see someone on the side of the road. Oftentimes, I don't have cash on me, and I'd like to help out. But we read that you could put together like this bag with all kinds of little toiletry items to like, if you keep them in your car and you toss it out the window real quick, because then at least you're donating, you're giving something.
Right.
And it could be like toothpaste and toothbrush.
Yeah.
A little bottle of water, maybe like a packet of like tuna or something, like all kinds of things in here. Socks. And we always put a pad in there. I handed this to a homeless gentleman one day and he looked in it and he was like, can you get that out of here?
Oh,
and I was like,
gosh.
I'm like, no, I'm like, don't you know a woman maybe that could use this? And he's like, I don't want to touch it.
Really?
So this is how I know. And this is why I say, like, it goes so far into the different depths of society that like the men are like, this is gross. Even homeless men are like, I don't want to hear about this. So that's why I love that we do talk about it, and that Sharon, you're shining such a bright light on it, because it does go, I mean, just all through the different classes and all this thing. Women are going to need this stuff.
It affects
It's funny because when I came over to my grandma's house to drop off like one of my bins, because Susan was over there, and one of the males in our family was also visiting, and he reads it and he just laughs because my bin says just period drive, you know? And he's like, you couldn't use like a more PC term like menstrual? And I was like, no. And that's why I use period, because that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're not okay with saying period. There's nothing wrong with saying that term or that word, because that's what it is.
Yes. Yeah, and why
So
is
weird.
menstrual more PC than
And it has the
period?
word men.
Ah,
Oh,
see?
oh,
I just
shit.
realized that.
That's why
Mhm.
men are more comfortable with menstrual. Like, I never like the term menstrual cycle. I'd be like, why is
To
it
me,
Me
that sounds
either.
painful. Like
Me
that
either.
sound like
Yeah.
that word, that descriptive word just sounds like, ooh, girl, are you okay?
sounds laborious and taxing,
Right.
which it is, but like, let's
Right.
not have to say it every day. Like, whatever.
Sharon, I'm
It also
curious.
takes too long to say. Yeah, sorry.
Nah.
That is true.
Mm.
I'm curious, what has, since you've sort of changed up your social media when it comes to talking
Mhm.
about period stories, how has that affected the young girls that look at your YouTube channel and your social media?
I get so many comments, and these are my absolute most favorite comments in the world, about girls telling me, I feel so much more confident in my period, or you've taught me how to put in a tampon, or you let me talk about something that I don't feel comfortable talking to like my own mother about, which
Yeah.
is crazy that
Powerful.
that's even like a thing. So those are just my absolute most favorite comments to get in the world. I never thought I could pull off like a how to put in a tampon video, but I somehow managed to do it. And a lot of people are like, you finally taught me how to use one. So it's amazing.
I mean, and I remember being in middle school, I believe, or elementary school, and one of my best friends, her being scared to talk to her mom about it.
Mhm.
And I remember her being like, I remember us being, it's like how you knew I was gay. I'm sitting here with my girl best friend, and I remember looking at the instructions and being like, girl, I don't know. I have
Even as a woman, when you look at the instructions, sometimes you're like, what the fuck
Dude,
is that?
yeah.
Yeah, she was confused. And I was like, I'm the last person that can help you. Like, I'm so sorry. But that's so great that you're providing that resource for girls to feel comfortable to be able to have an outlet to talk about something like that. That's so, so awesome.
Thank you. It means a lot. I never like have that period conversation with my mom. I also think it's a bit of like the language barrier because my mom's, very Cuban. She only really speaks Spanish. And she never fully went into detail what a period was. Like I knew she had one, but the only thing I knew was my mom bleeds sometimes. That's it.
Right.
When I got mine, I thought I was dying. I thought I needed to go to the hospital. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And then she's like, that's your period. And that's basically all she left at. She's like, that's your period. Here's a pad. But like, there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's like people out there that like their moms don't even give them a warning, or whoever's in their life don't even give them a warning at you will bleed eventually, which is like, how are you not going to tell someone they're going to bleed eventually? Like, I'd be freaking out. You know how many other people are freaking out?
No, and it comes from that patriarchal shame where it's like
Yep.
even the women get sucked into this where it's like, I don't know how to talk about it with my daughter and I am embarrassed. And so let's just not, she'll figure it out.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I didn't want to do that with my daughter. And so like she understands, she's 8. And so she understands that I get a period. And I'm not going into like the detail yet, but age appropriately, I will ramp it up.
Yeah.
Because I was in the dark too. Like Margaret was not that forthcoming
Right.
with the info. Like here's what I do remember. When I got my period, she was like so excited for me. And I was like, this does not seem like an exciting day. She's like, you're a woman. And I was like, this is a great way to show it. Like, what is that? And she
Right.
like called all the fucking family and she's like,
What?
Holly got her period.
My mom too.
Like, why are we doing this? Auntie Pearl didn't need to know, but apparently she did. Nah, Auntie Pearl. Uncle Joe gets on the
Uncle
phone.
Joe got the call.
There you go. Everybody's celebrating.
Everybody get Holly got a period. And meanwhile, I'm just like, I didn't do anything. It just happened.
Right.
Like, what?
It's my body. What are you doing?
Congratulations. Thanks. I did it myself, I
Oh.
guess.
Congrats, you can get pregnant now.
Right? I don't know. Anyway, so yes, I'm on the same wavelength with you.
Love what you're doing.
Thank
Sharon,
you.
where is all your social media at now? Yeah, you superstar.
So all my social media is still at Sharon Cancio. That's Sharon with one R. A lot of people think it's 2 R's. And then Cancio is Cancio. That's YouTube, TikTok. I lied. That's not YouTube. That's TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And my YouTube is the word just Sharon.
Just
So
Sharon.
literally just Sharon. Yes.
And how many followers are you at now when it comes to YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram?
Oh gosh, in total, I think it's about over 600,000 now.
Oh, wow. You go, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
That,
you.
that is influence right there and helping out little girls
For
all
real.
across
Good
the world.
influence, too.
Oh, I love
Thank you.
that. Well, Sharon, thank you. And if you ever need to pump anything up like that, you just let us know, okay?
Of course, my favorite people on the radio ever.
Aw, we love you.
I love you too. I miss you guys. Thanks
know.
for having me.
Miss you
Yes,
too.
absolutely. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Look at that. Just so great.
That is great. And what's weird is we're having this conversation. I just literally last night was explaining to my person the first time I used a tampon, and like that whole story just came out, and it was not with my mom, it was with a best friend. And so the synchronicity of, I'm really glad that she came on to talk about that today. That's
That is
so
fantastic.
Good.
I
So
love
good.
it. Anything that you can do to just use your voice for good like
that platform that she has, using it for positivity and change and good impact.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so awesome. I love it. Let's do one more question. I'm trying to see what we can do quickly.
What? Oh wow. Okay. Go ahead.
This is a simple yes or no.
Oh.
So we'll do two real quick.
Okay.
Kristen Geary said, I don't think you all have ever talked about it, but how long do you have left on your contracts? Don't want you all to leave ever. Until the end of the year. And Scott, you just signed yours.
Yeah, I got a while. I'm hanging out.
It's different. So
Yeah.
Miguel and I have one contract.
Yeah.
And Scott has another.
I have a separate one.
And so Scott, you got like 2.5 years.
Yeah, I got a little bit. It said I got a long contract to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Holly and I, because we just signed a 1-year extension.
Yeah. Because our contract was actually up. The actual legit contract itself was up at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
We signed an extension for a year, and so now it's coming up again.
Yeah. So look at Kristen with the eagle-eyed question over there, girl. She said, "What's going on?" And then, and I'm hoping I'm not pronouncing your name incorrectly. Marsley Melendez said, "What are your best and/or worst celebrity encounters?"
Ooh, wow.
Best and worst.
I would say best is still between Ed Sheeran
Mm-hmm. I definitely put him right up there at the top.
and probably Shawn Mendes, because I always feel like
He remembers you.
he does.
I feel like I really think he does.
I think so too, and I also think that because he's one of the few celebrities that we've encountered through the years when we watched him. I wouldn't say at the very beginning of his career, but like right before he went to like the next stratosphere.
Yeah.
And so we met him for the first time in 2015 when he was on tour opening for Taylor Swift.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've met him probably 4 or 5 times since then. And he has remained humble. And I think more importantly, what I have seen, especially recently, is that he has surrounded himself with good people that make sure that it's a respectful relationship.
With who?
With us, radio people,
Oh,
or
yeah.
just anyone in general. Because a lot of times what happens is we've met celebrities where they were great.
Yeah.
It was their people that weren't great.
So many of them have, whose people suck, or if they are even the same people, because a lot of life has happened in between. But when we spoke to Halsey,
yes,
she was wonderful.
Right.
Her people were bitches.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes you do need that, but you don't need to be rude.
Right.
Like they acted like, how dare we even take up the same air for the amount of time? Like her people were not doing her. It makes you not look that great. But we knew it wasn't her.
Right. It was her
people.
people, because we were doing an interview with her and we had a certain allotted amount of time. And so I think in those interviews we were doing, it was when we were at an award show, and I think each person had like 8 minutes or something like that. And so really we went into those things thinking we could probably ask 2 or 3 questions depending upon how much the celebrity sort of talked about or answered the question.
Right.
And Halsey gave some great meaty answers. So they were like, all right, you got to wrap it up. You got 2 minutes.
She was the one that was talking.
Right. And she was going, and they were looking at us like, cut the interview. And we were like, I'm not going to tell her to stop. She's giving a great answer.
Yeah.
I believe it was about social media and like mental health.
Mental health, it was.
And I was like, I'm not. So then it took us out of the interview.
Yeah.
When she was giving such an amazing, beautiful answer that was so relatable to her listener or to her fans.
Yeah.
And it was just like, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, we're not the ones talking.
Right.
But
So I guess excluding people's management that may mess it up for them. I totally agree with Ed Sheeran. He was so down to earth
and warm,
inviting. Shawn Mendes, yes, very grounded. I was trying to think of a worst scenario, and I was thinking. I mean, we can talk about Omi, who isn't even really a celebrity anymore.
Cheerleader,
right? Cheerleader. But maybe this is just me.
Oh.
But I will say one of the not so great experiences was with Bruno Mars.
Oh, that was awkward.
Yeah.
It was.
That was awkward.
You know why? Because, and like, I don't know what he has been through. And so I'm not saying that he's a bad person. I have no idea who Bruno Mars is, but that's how he wants it.
Right.
Like, he shouldn't even do interviews because he's not going to give you anything besides a character. Like, he's basically playing a character of himself. You want to interview Bruno Mars, but like nobody knows who he actually is because he doesn't let you. And that's fine, but then don't do the interview.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point of the interview?
What? So are we going to just pretend that you're also not a real human? Like, we're all going to he's like setting the table to make it seem like we're all on the same wink, wink, nudge, nudge, like farce. It was not, I didn't like it.
It was a really cool interview that we all did, though, is the Justin Bieber one. Like, that was a really good one, too. That I actually got, like, when we FaceTimed him, like, a lot warmer and a lot more, able to have a conversation with than you would think. Because a lot of people, like, I feel like he gets a bad limelight and, like, social media and stuff because always surrounded by paparazzi. And, like, so now you see videos where he's like, dude, shut up.
I know.
Like, leave me alone. But, like, on that conversation, super, super cool.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I think contrasting, like, the Justin Bieber to the Bruno Mars interview is, like, a perfect example of, like, Justin Bieber would have every right to do an interview and be Justin Bieber, the singer, the performer. I'm sticking just straight to the music.
What you've created in your head, just keep thinking that.
Just that. Whereas when we talked to him and he talked about like his housekeeping and like what he was eating and like just very normal.
Haley!
Right.
Like, screaming at Haley for like a phone charger or whatever.
Right. I mean, and it was so human. And it's like, I stopped trying to do those type of like interviews where I'm like, oh, let me get like that one sound bite that's going to like go national. I'm like, I would rather for us provide a like normal conversation to where you get a little bit of like, you get to see that celebrity as a human being.
Because they are.
Right. Whereas opposed to Bruno Mars, it was like, remember asking him because he was with Anderson .Paak and we were asking like, oh my gosh, like this whole, a 70s, 80s groove you all have, like it's so cool. Like you're going to maybe come up with like a fashion line. And he basically was like, no, let's stick to the music. And it was like,
yeah,
all right, I get it. You want to stick to the music. That's cool. But like, can you just be a little human and like, maybe tell us why you wanted to go down this path of like doing this really cool music that we're all connecting and loving.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he has so much of a barrier up. Whereas like you said, Scott, Justin Bieber, I just felt like he was somebody we work with that walked in and we were just like,
yeah. Or he could have been like anybody, like somebody's brother.
Right.
That like walked in and we're like, oh, so,
Justin's here.
Yeah. What kind of Doritos you doing that the gluten-free lifestyle? Okay.
Yeah.
If you weren't like, well, yeah, like it was just a normal conversation where like I said, I'm not saying like Bruno Mars is a bad person, so please don't take it that way. But whatever his machine is as a performer, nope, you're not getting through any of that. Like we have no idea. No one does about who Bruno Mars actually is.
Right. And I think a lot of times that can be used obviously as a protection mechanism because I mean, listen, you get a lot of crappy radio interviews and a lot of people that do interviews where they're trying to get you and they're trying to get you to slip up and they're trying to get that one little line that they want to send to, the national trades or E-Online or whatever to get their name in the national print.
Yeah.
And so they do those types of interviews. So of course I understand you're going to have those guards
reservations.
Up.
And listen, I'm not saying radio is part of the problem.
Right.
Because in our industry, just like in any industry, there's assholes and there's decent people.
Right.
Except we happen to have a lot of assholes.
Yeah.
And so like they all think that they're so good and so funny
Right.
and so deserving of like fame themselves. And so
Oh.
those are the ones. Like if I was a celebrity and I was being interviewed by like Johnny Radio guy, I'd be like, get this clown out of my face. And so we do it to ourselves. Like we shoot
Right.
ourselves in the foot.
Yeah,
I understand.
absolutely.
I
That's
understand.
true.
Well, and I also think too, when it comes to radio, like there's not a lot of training that we get on how to do interviews.
Valid.
And so I get the mentality of, you know, if I'm a young radio person and I'm trying to make a name for myself and I think I've got to do something shocking or crazy or goofy to get my name out there with this celebrity or to be known in the industry. So I want to do something crazy. Whereas the more you come across as a human being
Yeah.
to the celebrity, the more that they're going to give you, hopefully.
That's all you can do.
Yeah.
You just put yourself out there and hope that they respond. And then sometimes they don't, like Bruno Mars.
Right.
And that's okay. Now we know.
Right. So perfect. Next time we interview him, it's like we're going straight to the music.
All music.
We're just
all
talking
music.
about your process, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to Shawn Mendes when he went on about his journal and him
Yes.
and Camila Cabello, and I was like, oh girl, he's giving us the tea right now. I didn't think he was gonna go that much into it, but we always approach him as a human being.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are good questions.
Those are good questions.
So,
I
yeah,
want to answer more questions.
Yeah, so we'll
Good.
come back to some more on Friday's podcast. So Scott, what's all of your social media?
That's Scott Tavlin, SCOTTTAVLIN.
Holly.
Radio Holly, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram.
And what we owe, mine is Miguel Fuller everywhere. And also we just launched a contest. Today is October 13th. So obviously if you're listening to this time delayed past next Wednesday, you will be too late, but you have a week to register for Miguel and Holly Live's Hottest Seat in the House, which is what, Holly?
So it's brought to us, all thanks to 1-800-ASK-GARY. You can enter at hot1015tampabay.com and register to win like a seat on the stage
Yes.
at Miguel and Holly Live. And so what you're entering to win would be to sit on the couch, like you and your +1, sitting on the couch with us, watching us sweat, running all over the place. It would be pretty awesome. If I wasn't doing the show, I'd want to sit.
The best seat in the house.
Yeah.
You're right there next to us.
So go register for that.
Hot1015tampabay.com. Make sure to leave us a review and a rating. We really appreciate it. And we will see you Friday.